Hello, hello, hello. How's it going, folks? Welcome back to FPV Chat on Thursday. How's everybody doing today? It's Thanksgiving. And I'm glad you're here if you're here. Garrett Pickens is here. How's it going? Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Same with you. One Eye FPV was here. Ram Donko, IDV, CH3 FPV, Cool Cat, Jeff Long, Captain Sinop. How's it going, folks? Henry Cam is... There's no Henry right now. He left, so when he's back, we'll throw that back up. Today's topics will be kind of whatever. So we'll see. Hopefully we are answering some questions. That's part of why we're here on the FPV chat. I'm here to help you, if you need help. Or if you know people that need help, or if you got questions, or you're curious, or whatever. Maybe a clarification about a news thing we did. I do the news every Tuesday with Joshua Bardwell. Or whatever else you're interested in. That is pretty normal, CH3 FPV. I don't believe there was one last year either. I think the only real sale, like official sale we've gotten on DJI FPV goggles by like DJI has been Father's Day. Otherwise, it's like random vendors who decide that like they're allowed to discount. But in many cases, I don't believe they're allowed to discount. I think I might have lost my train of thought there. I was talking, me and Bardwell recorded the new product roundup. So that should be out hopefully in a week or two. I'm going to guess like a week, maybe less. Hopefully by the end of the month because it is the November roundup. But you know how that stuff goes. The next one will probably be some kind of Christmas roundup, I would assume. I don't know if we'll do it themed at all, but yeah, I think the Speedy Cares package is pretty cool. We showed that on the news a while back. If you haven't checked it out, Bardwell's got a new video about the Speedy Cares package. Pretty neat. We can talk about new DJI cameras. Anybody cares about those? I don't know how many DJI folks we got in the chat. But today we had two new cameras announced. We got the Nebula Pro Nano and the Runcam Falcon Nano. Finally, nano cams with 120 FPS and full features, so pretty cool. Wallapop Apple, how's it going? Callie's here. How's it going, Callie? I have no idea, Captain Synap. You'd have to look at like retail price and stuff. I imagine there's some import stuff going on there. And you're saying in euros. That would be my guess anyway. This way. There we go. Geek FPVs here. How's it going? I definitely cannot make it down to a whoop race in Knoxville. I'm in Denver, Colorado, so let's see. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Apple either. I don't really want to get into all that on the stream, but yeah, I have never bought an Apple product, and I never will. Uh, I mean, we've only seen a couple videos from it, but it looks like the Nebula Pro in a nano size, which is great because people want nano cameras. So I think it seems really good. Both of them seem super good. So we'll just have to see what the end like result is, like what it ends up looking at, you know. Matthew Vega, I have no idea. I would assume it's just listed because Newbie Drone got word of stock or something. Uh, Normally Newbie Drone doesn't list stuff, you know, unless it's real. So it would make sense. They do V2 a lot of their radios. So uh, Animus here. How's it going? Robert Garcelon. Good to see you. Yeah, Jumper T18 just doesn't appeal to me at all. Waiting on the hopefully Radio Master radio with internal Express LRS. I still believe that is coming, though I don't know. But I do believe that is coming. So Captain Synap, you can go check out Joshua Bardwell's video he just put out about the share box. It's a box that's mailed from person to person, and they can put stuff in and take stuff out. For more details, he's got a good overview of it. He goes through the contents and stuff. Like from Radio Master, like sold by Radio Master. That's what I mean. Hey, Apache Smoke, how's it going? Good to see you. I'm doing well. Lollipop Apple. What are you trying to do with the Whoop? I still only fly 65s pretty much. I think the 75s are cool, but um, most of the time when I fly indoors, I find that like the things I want to do are like race and fly through gates And so I would rather have a 65 millimeter so I could practice for races and stuff. So I would just go with any of the 65 millimeter whoop options. Mob 6 has an Express LRS option now too, so that's kind of nice. I think they lowered the motor size, but to me that's fine. I think that's probably good. But yeah, so Mob 6 or Meteor 65 or B-Brain Brushless V3, something in that vein would be where I would go. I just use my monitor for sim. I don't. The goggles have latency. I feel like because DJI goggles don't have HDMI in, so I'm going through a converter. And even though the converters aren't supposed to have much latency, it felt horrible when I tried to play it. So well, what else is going on? Who's interested in what? What you've been seeing? You got questions, comments, concerns? Talk to me. In the meantime, this is pretty cool. We can take a look at this. The first Bind and Fly from HGLRC is coming out with the Fat Shark HD0 Race 2. So you'll be able to buy a Bind and Fly with HD0 in it. So that's big news. It is HGLRC, but what you gonna do? I don't like the protection. There's a better top plate in the comments here. I was actually contacted by the guy who made the better top plate. However, it still is pretty cool to see this coming. It is like a racer style, but pretty neat. Trappy will never allow ELRS on Tracer. And yes, it will start competing with Express LRS. Probably. It depends on how they do the code. But if they do like smaller packets and stuff like we would expect them to do, then yeah, it'll be competing. I mean, there's a lot of Binoflies already that are starting to come with Express LRS. Basically, because all the manufacturers are making them, then those manufacturers are willing to put them on things like Flywoo, because they're already making receivers. They're like, oh yeah, we could throw one of those on there. Same with Beta FPV, starting to be like that. Happy Model. I think you're going to see it like go because of that. So the more companies that make receivers, you'll see those receiver options available. That's what it seems like anyway. Yeah, Patchy Smoke, the Tony Hawk 2 is pretty fast, so you got to get used to flying it indoors. Though you will be a much better pilot with it if you can fly it indoors in angle mode. I wouldn't try to acro Tony Hawk 2 inside, but thanks, Brandon. Happy Halloween to you as well. Yeah, 2.4 is 2.4, so I would expect the antennas to work just as well. If you want to get a directional antenna for your TX, you can do that. You just need to be careful that you're pointing your TX in the correct direction. If you mean the, oh yeah, on the radios, yeah, you just got to make sure you're pointing in the correct direction. If you do directional, but you should be able to get, you know, I would guess, 20, 30 km on the normal one. Yeah, there's been some work done on flashing tracer, but I don't know that that's really going to end up going anywhere very fast. So it's kind of a wait and see game there. Patchy smoke, if it's drifting in angle mode to the same direction a lot, you need to make sure you do the trims. You can do stick trims. Joshua Bardwell's got a video about calibrate your tiny whip accelerometer. So I'm gonna go check that out and make sure you've got that. Maybe trim your tiny whip accelerometer, something like that. But yeah, you basically fly it up and then see which way it drifts, and then you use the sticks. You land it, use the sticks to change the direction, then you fly it again, and you get it so you can get it almost level. It's not never going to be perfect, but it will definitely can drift a lot less than a lot. 661, how's it going? Good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. One Eye FPV. Yeah, Trappy, when he claims ranges, remember that they are in Hong Kong. So if you've ever seen their test videos where they go out and do testing, it's basically out in the middle of nowhere. They're not in the middle of anything, and it's wide open spaces, typically from up on a hill. So I think in many cases these ranges are the best possible ranges you could get because they're literally in the best range situations you could possibly have. That's why I expect he gets these ranges. Trappy claims that they're all tested, and I do believe that, but I also believe they test them in the most ideal conditions you could possibly test them. Frenzy Incarnate, how's it going? Good to see you. Buddha FPV, welcome. Brandon, I gotta say, this is where I'm gonna upset half the chat. Turkey is a bad meat. So I would basically eat anything but turkey before I eat turkey. Nice, 661. Yeah, time to retire the QX7. I've got two retired QX7s. But I did keep them. Definitely don't use them anymore. I like the T16 way better. Already hear that, Frenzy Incarnate. Hope you feel better soon. Yeah, Jeff Long, are you doing development for that backpack? Because I know the Fusion's not officially supported, so I know they are working on doing, I think it's SPI or whatever the communication protocol is on the Fusion. Honey ham is way better than turkey, absolutely. Doc, how's it going? Good to see you. Roast tenderloin, also way better than turkey. Lots of turkey supporters in the chat. Excellent. Uh, So Brandon says, why do you say it's bad? Because it's bad. It's not good. If you eat other meats, they're better. I mean, that's the best I can tell you. Like every time I've ever had turkey, I've had it deep fried, I've had it basted, I've had it cooked, I've had it slow cooked, I've had it smoked, I've had it whatever way you can have turkey, I feel like. And it's never been good. It's been like all right. And it's like they're doing all these things and spending 20 hours on the turkey just to make it like as juicy as a chicken that's normal. So I'm good on all that. That's what I would say. Like you shouldn't need to be in the kitchen all day. Just make a chicken or a ham or anything. No, your mother-in-law banned indoor flights. That's sad. You know, he is barking up a storm today. I'm not sure what's going on with it. Has arrived on the Henry cam, and he is stressed out. Esponder's here. How's it going? Good to see you, Esponder. 86 FPV is here. Sea stuff is definitely better than turkey. I think any seafaring thing, I'd probably eat over turkey. Not a big fan of cranberry sauce either, I must say. I don't like any of the Thanksgiving. I don't like stuffing. Like I just not a big fan. I don't like candied yams. Uh, I always remember like going to Thanksgiving dinner. I'd be like, I don't want any of this shit. Give me a roll and ham, and I'll take care of things. Just like all, they're so all. It's all so unappealing. Yeah, Jeff, I wasn't sure what the method was. I know they were talking about how it's like if they can get it working, it's like really, it's got a bunch of features and ability or something over typical control for the fusion, but hopefully that goes well. The pumpkin pie, absolutely. Cranberry sauce, no thank you. Northern Tier FPV, how's it going? Good to see you. Henry's doing well. He's a little stressed out today. He's been barking a lot, but other than that, he's doing well. Yeah, he can hear something, so I don't know what it is. But you guys know sometimes on these streams he's very sleepy. He'll be passed out. But today is not. It's not happening. Also, this camera is not locking focus, so let's fix that. I don't. That's about right. Frenzy Incarnate, absolutely not. Not planning on it anytime soon. Yeah, Jeff Long, I know they posted on their Facebook a few days ago that they had posted new modules on the, I think on AliExpress. So I was hoping they would have shipped them. Ryan, I noticed maybe a difference, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't guarantee that. I personally think I'm faster when my whoop is heavier, so I think the extra gram actually probably helped me as well, to be quite honest with you, because I was running the newbie drone receiver, which I think is quite a bit. I don't know. I guess they're probably similar. Because the newbie drone receiver is pretty small too, but RunCam is one of the two nano cameras that are coming. Those 120 FPS cameras. Did you see those yet? I think we've swapped a bunch of people here. Let's hop over. Zoom in so you guys can see this. But so yeah, Cadex has the Nebulent Pro Nano Vista kit that they showed today. So this will be Nano 120 full featured. And then also we got the RunCam, RunCam Falca Nano, which is the same thing, a 14 by 16, same form factor and size and everything. Looks to be same feature set as the Cadex camera. So that is exciting. Two new Nano 120s. Ethics, not really. Not a big fan of vegetables in general. Eat them if I gotta, but not a big fan. So, hey, what you gonna do? Neek FPV says, "What do you fly for whoops now?" If I fly something, it's B Brain, an older B Brain that I have. I think it's a V2. It's been long enough that I don't remember. I think it's a V2 though. Then I have a Hummingbird F4 Pro, but I think the video's out on that. Last time I tried to fly it, I could not. Then I have a couple like random throw together whoops, but that split cam is supposed to come pretty soon. But I haven't actually seen a release date on the Split HD yet. One Eye FPV, I think the AIO market has been kind of taken off compared to what it used to be. But I don't know that it'll ever take. I don't think it'll ever take over. I don't think like your average pilot will be choosing an AIO over a stack other than for price or like for size or whatever. Like I don't think like I personally at this point would never buy an AIO for like my 5 inches because I don't care about weight at all. And I'd much rather have beefy fets, everything spaced out, proper capacitance, uh, more features on the boards, like all that kind of stuff. I would much rather have than lighter or form factor. There is a big push to light quads, which, hey, if you guys like that, that's cool. So maybe that will be one of the reasons that we'll see more of it. Yeah, 661 FPV, we did a story on that on the news, but yeah, they're all coming really shitty. Runcam Nano 4 doesn't have that problem, but it's like way heavier. It's basically a different camera. Later, Lollipop Apple, thanks for stopping in. Frenzy Incarnate Analog. I'm not flying a Nebula Nano. I don't ever fly a 60 FPS camera, and I won't. I have no interest in doing it. I've flown them a couple times, and they're total garbage, and I hate high quality mode. I am not even interested. It just sucks so bad. Like the latency makes me sick. Like it feels like my quad is broken. I've said that before, but I literally took off with a Nebula Nano and didn't know that I had a Nebula Nano, and I thought something was wrong, and it was because the 60 FPS and the variable latency. I can't do it. And like I said, I don't care about size, so I would put a full camera on a 3-inch quad. That would be my solution for that. But if I had to go a smaller camera, it would be analog. But also, it's kind of a bummer because I don't have good analog goggles, so that also would be a bit annoying. We are talking about a lot of um, we're talking about a lot of cameras here, so we're gonna take a look at SharkBite. This is from Vanover's flight. We showed this on the news. This is part Ryan Quellett put up a video. You should check out if you'd like to see that, and I'll show that after this a little bit. But this is a SharkBite flight, so you can get an idea, and you can see the clarity of the OSD here versus the clarity of the background, so you can kind of get an idea of like how much the compression is hurting you when you're looking at it. It did look pretty good, but there is a lot of breakup. They flew this on a linear dipole antenna, which for DJI typically does well, if not better, as well, if not better. But possibly does not for this. There's quite a bit of breakup in here. This is the full video. If you saw Ryan Quillet's video, you saw part of this, but this is the full footage I got from Ryan for the news. We'll go near the end here. This is a good example. He goes behind the stairs here a couple times. So, there's some breakup. It's not like terrible, but it's also not like amazing. That's what I would say. Yeah, it is a nano cam in this, which you could tell, I think, from the quality. I think the quality is pretty bad. But I'm more judging breakup than quality. Unless SharkBite makes new ICs, there's no way they'll make analog obsolete because the boards can't be light enough for whoops. So, also, I want to see this compared because I really think you get less breakup on analog doing that, but I would love to see that. So, that is a 1 watt VTX, by the way. I guess I didn't mention that. But that's the 1 watt VTX, and we'll take a look at Ryan Quellet's video here. Nope. Thanks, Linus. Like, why am I getting a Linus Tech Tips app, but it's Honey? Okay, that makes more sense. All right, here we go. So this is Ryan's video, but I wanted to show you at the end here. Okay, Ryan Quellet. At the end here was a picture of the VTX. So it's up so you can see it. Yeah, so it is a little chunker there. There's a 30 by 30. It's got plugs and stuff, but yeah, 30 by 30 currently. And then the outside of that is basically 40 by 40, so. IDV says, what analog goggles do you have? I have FXT Viper box goggles. Otherwise, I have digital, I have DJI with the UR UAV adapter and a TBS Fusion. That's what I use for most of my analoging. Uh, 661, I wouldn't say that won't ever happen. I mean, Carl is the one who's making the ICs, and he's the one who hears everybody's demands. But they definitely are targeting the larger market first, which is non-Whoop stuff. So I imagine if everybody cares enough, eventually they may find a way to do that. But for now, they didn't. So, Sins today, thank you so much. $10. Can't stay and watch, but want to say happy Thanksgiving. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Eventually, hopefully that will be a treat for the dog, for Mr. Henry. But currently, I'm still working on that project. I did dig into it a little bit today again with the new ESP32 that some people recommended me. So we will see how that ends up working out. But have you guys seen Velocita Rush? This is a Kickstarter project. And it is a sim game, but it is a Game Boy game, which is pretty cool. It's like a little, I don't know what you would call it, but it's like a little Game Boy game version. You can download this, or you can play the demo on itch.io Velocirush. I'll put that in the chat in case anybody's interested in checking that out. Yeah. Pretty cute, though. And it actually is a ROM, so it will run on a Game Boy or a Game Boy emulator. Evidently asked to enter my name, so let's get past that. There's only training in the demo. A pretty neat little concept. You got to stay in the track there, pass all the gates, the marked gates, and then around the corner of the flag. And basically, you get this, and so that's pretty neat. That's a cool idea. But then they actually introduce height as well. The round type of gate is flown through high, and the square type of gate uh, is mostly flown through low. Square tunnels low, circle tunnels high. Circle tunnels high. Square tunnel. Okay, double tap A. Pretty cool little game here. Take a look at the split S. So that's a high. Anyway, pretty cool little concept game, and they're asking for money on Kickstarter, so I'll check that out on the news. Let people get an idea of that. NES game where you played as a dragon but without fireballs. Don't know if I know offhand what that is. Dave Pensacola is here. How's it going? Good to see you. Dragon Strike. Yeah, IDV. That's because, well, I don't know, probably because the wind, how often it pulls the YouTube chat, but yeah, it's a pretty good little widget. Little widget. Also, some new cams coming out from Fox here, but unfortunately, they're not really that exciting. I mean, the Digicite V3 might be for Shark Bite, but we'll have to wait and see how good that quality is. Hard to tell from videos. And the Apollo is another 60 FPS cam, so nobody really cares about that, or at least I don't. This is the Digicite 3. Kind of nice that it's got a Starlight lens and a standard lens. Just a little bigger FOV. Extra 10 degrees. It'll be interesting to see how this performs. I have an 8700K and a 2080 Ti. Corey Gamble. I have no idea what that is. Googling it now. Like a camera or a drone with a gimbal. Yeah, pretty much. Looks like a drone with a gimbal. Andy Taylor. Oh, okay. I thought the whole point of this thing was the single operator, right? Because that's what, I don't know. That's what it says on the website, right? So it's just a frame with the gimbal, right? Like, is that page? Gotcha. Well, my take on it is that I don't do professional filming, so I don't have any idea why this would be good or bad. That is my take. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Dickinson. Dixon? Dixon. Cool. Well, the guy in the chat asked for my take, so I was just providing that. What else is going on? New We Bleed Whoop series starting. You guys wanted to race whoops on Velocidrome. There's a good opportunity to do it coming up. It is basically leaderboard competition over 3 tracks. It'll go for a month. Then at the end of the month, the top 70 will be drafted. And if you're drafted, you pay $20 to compete for, right now, a $6,300 prize purse, but will likely be more than that. Yeah, December 1st. E-Doc. I have no idea yet. I haven't decided. I really just hate the way it works, personally. It just rewards people who fly less, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's just really frustrating. When you get a month to qualify, then that means some people are going to spend the month and some people are going to spend 3 days or 1 hour or whatever. and then you're not going to actually have people evenly matched. So I don't know. I might do it, but we shall see. Yeah, Dixon, I don't know that the DJI FPV drone combo could be cheap enough for me to buy it. And I guess if it's cheaper than goggles, right? You could just buy it and sell the goggles, but maybe Ram Donko, but I figure people who are buying, I would guess if you're getting DJI goggles bought for you, then they're probably not unwanted. But I guess it is possible. We mentioned on the news, I think I talked about this last week here, but I don't remember. Crappy did confirm that Tracer is getting LoRa, which is pretty exciting. People have been asking about that for a while. Also, EdgeTX made a statement. I don't think we showed it on the news, but let's see. There you go. So they had an update on EdgeTX and campaign and support for the Tango 2 and the Mambo. Basically, they said the goal was Christmas. However, it looks like it's going to take them longer than Christmas. So we'll probably be in the spring edition. So March, it looks like, will be the Tango 2 and Mambo date if something doesn't happen sooner than that. But it is looking like March for EdgeTX, OpenTX for the Tango 2 and Mambo. At least we've got an idea of the date, right? That's pretty good. Dixon, no, you don't need Part 107 unless you're making money or you're doing a commercial interest. So, Yeah, I think a lot of people could return them, Ramdonko. Neek, yeah, we actually talked about it twice. Yeah, the Runcam Falcon Nano is coming out soon. One of the first FPS, 120 FPS nano cams for DJI. Dixon, yes, you do have to register it. I'm gonna follow them rules. You gotta register it. And yourself. Pretty much just gotta register yourself. And then put the sticker on your drone. When you go on the website, I think it still asks you to enter a drone, but you don't have to actually individually list each drone there. From my understanding, that law doesn't come into place until remote ID, because that's meant to track your remote ID modules. So you just you can enter whatever there, and put your sticker on all your drones. And I would just ask Dixon, are you going to be flying with an observer at all times? Are you going to be never leaving visual line of sight of either you or your observer? And you don't have visual line of sight because you're goggles. So the stream might have dropped out for a second. Maybe somebody can confirm that, or it's just my side. But basically, if somebody is not with you and you lose visual line of sight, because you have the goggles on, or the partner can't see it, then you're technically illegal already. So I think, and then also, if you're using DJI, you're typically okay. But depending on your radio link, you might not be legal. As far as that goes. And then typically, if you go over, I believe on DJI, if you went over 700 milliwatts, you would need a ham license. Same with the radio. Radio is a little different though, and there are different rules with radio. Legally, yes, Dixon, but most people fly it wherever they want, and do whatever they want with it. Part of the benefit of the remote ID rule will be that we can go out of visual line of sight with pre-built systems. It won't be with custom-built systems, so it'll be with pre-built systems, which is like one of the only benefits remote ID will provide. Currently, there is no law for BVLOS without a waiver. BVLOS is beyond visual line of sight, but the waivers are very rarely granted. Probably also very rarely applied for either, but they also say visual line of sight without aid or without visual aid or something like that. It's got to be how well you could see. Dixon, no, likely not. When I say pre-builds, I mean once the remote ID transponder stuff is finalized, which I believe happens early next year. I think the manufacturers have to be ready by the end of next year, and then the law applies to us the end of the following next year, end of 23. But I believe by the end of 22 there'll be a list of people, and like there'll be a list of manufacturers or a way to know if a manufacturer is certified, and then your radio or your quad will come with a remote ID module integrated by the manufacturer. Right now, we don't know how exactly that will apply. The hope is that many companies can do this, but it's possible that might not be the case. But basically, if you add your remote ID later and you don't have the remote ID on the quad from a approved manufacturer, then you would still be stuck in visual line of sight. It's a real mess, to be honest with you. It's a real mess. Here is that that information. Oops. Well, how do I? Let's try it. We do this. We do that. All right. But basically, how it'll work is if you buy a standard remote ID drone, then that remote ID capability was built in. And then from takeoff to shutdown, it has, all this stuff. Then you can fly it out of line of sight wherever. If you have one with the remote ID broadcast module that you added, then unfortunately it's limited to visual line of sight operations as you would expect. Then if you don't have remote ID, you've got to fly in a FRIA, which is a specific location where you can fly. And then it'll depend. We're still looking. The FRIA laws are still being developed, but it looks like there'll be a decent amount of FRIAs, but they're not going to be a ton. We'll see. All we can do is wait on that one. We really don't know. That's unfortunate. One of the unfortunate parts is we really don't know how it will work. The hope is that manufacturers will still be able to be approved when they can add these devices, even on a custom-built drone. If it's added by the manufacturer, hopefully it will be legal. But that's pretty funny. Jeff Long says, when I was active duty, I did testing on real drones, Predator, for example, and we had to have live chase planes to make FAA happy. It's Jesus Christ. And technically, the way the law is written, it says co-located observer, but I believe that's newer. So now I think you legally have to have a co-located observer. Yeah, once the license requirements come up, Dixon, we'll have a better idea. But right now, I think they're still approving the actual modules and how they'll work and how they'll like communicate to the drone and stuff. I think that's like the first piece, and then they'll have those manufacturing requirements sent to manufacturers. Yeah, from my understanding, if you watch that Ladrib video where Drib interviewed the head of the AAA, the FAA, his basic statement was like, FRIAs are going to be places where we're going to avoid sending planes over. So everywhere can't really be a FRIA, and you can't put a FRIA in somewhere super inconvenient for local airports. Like that seems to be like the restrictions he was kind of suggesting that there will be. Um, so it sounds like identifying these locations that are not near airports or air traffic, even though I understand they're 400 feet, but they're still concerned with that. They want to keep us split from the air traffic. No, you legally cannot fly above 400 feet. I understand the airspace restriction and all the different parts of it, but that was still what his major concern was. Yeah, cool cat. I'll paste that in the chat. It's on that page. But otherwise, it sounded like his goal was to get as many free as they could. Like, hey, let's make everybody happy as we can, so you can fly. We don't have to argue with you. That's kind of what it seemed like. And then later, uh, I don't know. I thought that was a really good interview. I said that on the news, and I'll say that again. I think that shows that they give a shit. Because he was like, you can get waivers. He's like, so, you could also get a waiver to fly somewhere. Uh, he's like, you could also, like, there's no reason we couldn't have a shielded operations waiver. So like there's a process where you could say like, hey, I'm in a place where we're under trees or the trees are X tall, and I'm gonna fly within X height, and I'm gonna promise to do that, and I'm gonna ask for this permission to fly this way. Like that's very possible, and he said like you could absolutely have some sort of shielded operations waiver. It's unfortunate there's not a shielded operations law, and maybe we could push for that at some point in the future. Um, but he did suggest that that was the way to go about it too. So, I mean, I'm not going to argue. Like, if I could apply for a waiver like once every couple of years, like a license, then that would be great. If it's a waiver every time you want to fly, then that's a different story. Right? The plan would be, Dave, that it is a little module, and you probably would not even have to wire it to UART. You would probably have to just program the module with your information. And then it would have its own tracking for like velocity, location, altitude. It would do all that stuff on it, and then submit that information. So it literally is probably just a little thing you're going to stick on the drone. Maybe wire it to power, right? Or something like that. And then the ones that are integrated into the drone will need to be more integrated because you need to know the location of the control station and elevation with those, the broadcast station, in addition to the location of the drone. And then those also need to track like emergency status and stuff, so be a little more advanced. It's gonna suck. I'll tell you that right now. It's gonna suck. I don't know how much it'll affect day to day. Like I still don't think we're gonna have the FAA police, and I don't think the police care enough to learn how to police us. Maybe they will, but I don't know that most of them are gonna care enough to learn. Because right now, a lot of them could get us in trouble. I would assume for various things, but maybe only the FAA reps could do that. Yeah, I know they are providing a lot of this information to the police, which is a concern. I don't think they'll be subsidized, like a lower price because the government's paying part or something. It's possible though. I actually think it might be the other way, where you might end up having to pay to be like on the registry or some shit. But that might only be the full remote ID because they got rid of all the tracking database stuff. Previously, there was a requirement for everything to be internet connected, so you wouldn't be able to use your drone in anywhere without internet, um, unless you were in a FRIA. But that rule was removed because everybody was pissed off, and there was no feasible technical way to handle it. Everybody's like, no, we can't do that. So sorry. Same thing with ADSB. They wanted to just do ADSB, but the infrastructure can't support it. So instead of beefing up the infrastructure, they're like, let's just move forward and make them yell with transponders. Most people assume that as soon as the technology is possible or as soon as they have it worked out, then they'll require remote ID to be internet based. But for the time being, it's not happening. Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of people were saying when they originally came out with the NPRM was like, hey, you can't do this because I won't be able to fly like on my property, at my home or like out filming where I need to film on my land or like doing surveying I mean, there's so many times where you're not going to be guaranteed internet. So You can. I would imagine as soon as they can do that, they will. If you go read the comments, though, they definitely said like, "Hey, people said we didn't. This wasn't a thing we should do." So, no, it is just locally broadcasting. So basically, your drone, when it's flying around, will have radio coming from you, right? Because your radio is going out to it, your little controller, just like normal. Video's coming back, telemetry's coming back. But also, there's a little broadcast module on there that will be just jamming out a broadcast from your drone. And people who have the right to pick it up and know anything about it can do that. Anybody from the understanding is that anybody will be able to go on an app and they'll be able to see local drones based on that signal, like over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And then, and Bluetooth isn't far enough, but there's low power. Anyway, whatever the way will be, you'll be able to use your phone app to check it. And then you'll be able to use the internet, if you're a police officer or someone with authority like the FAA, to look up the value, the number that comes back from that drone. And that will tell you things like location, altitude, ID, velocity, all that stuff. It'll be encoded into that value. That's supposed to be the idea. So nobody can tell anything about you, other than that there is a drone in the area, and possibly a location, but I don't believe they're broadcasting location. Um, and then if you're somebody who should be able to know, then they can know. Originally, it was going to be live connected to the internet, and you would have to have a live connection at all times. Hobby Howie FPV, absolutely. But it's not. It's people acting for Walmart. So it's the remote pilot has to hold it. So the remote pilot would be the people who are working for Walmart, which is that whatever that company's called. I forget their name. Drone Up. So those Drone Up pilots have a 107 license, and then also the Drone Up. I imagine Drone Up also has a bunch of waivers from the FAA. I would guess. Like I know Google Wing has a bunch of waivers from the FAA. Like they got in early and got a bunch of approval to do testing and stuff. But certainly they have a 107. It's just the remote pilot that needs it. So whoever's flying it. But that also means all the liabilities on the remote pilot. That's something to remember. So like if you go on a film set, right? And you're the 107 pilot and you're doing the flying, then it's all that is on you because you're the one whose job it is to know the law and to enforce the law. So if you're breaking the law, if you're not doing BVLOS and somebody comes on set, like that's on you. Will that ever happen? Who knows? But it's just something to remember. Like I would guess if you hit somebody and you tried to get insurance, I don't know how that would work because legally you're not allowed to fly over people without the correct category of drone. So, like if I was the insurance company, I would deny that claim because legally you shouldn't be able to hit somebody because you're not legally allowed to fly over them. So to me, like, how is that a legal, valid insurance claim? But I don't know how any of that works. I would be interested to know actually how all that works. Yeah, that's what I figured, Andy Cooper. That makes sense. For sure. But my concern, Andy Cooper, was isn't the liability on the pilot? Yeah, I think the problem is the liability is on the pilot. Or at least that was my understanding. So then, like, the little production companies are like getting away with it because you're not like calling them out and going like, "Hey, if you want me to do this job, you got to like actually make sure I'm covered. We got to follow rules," you know? Yes, that makes sense. As a pilot, also, you'd probably sue the producer and stuff. Like, I don't. Yeah, it seems like a mess, to be honest. And then also, like, what happens? I guess maybe you would know, Andy. What happens if you're indoors? Then none of that applies, right? So the insurance claim be like denied if you're indoors? Is like that literally the only difference? It's like, hey, I'm indoors, so like I can hit people, but I'm outdoors, so I can't hit people. Also, yes, I agree with you. The AMA insurance seems like a, hey, I'm allowed to be here, but not like a, I'm gonna get 2 mil. Uh, yeah, negligent injury. That makes sense. Then it's just like any other claim, but they can't deny it for the drone reasons. I would assume. Real quick, for those who didn't know what we were talking about earlier, we did talk about it on the news. So if you didn't know, you should watch the news. But Walmart has started residential drone delivery service with Drone Up. So they're allowing a delivery service to handle it, which is kind of what we were talking about earlier. Sure, Andy, but that's what you got insurance for, right? I didn't watch the movie, Dixon. We watched the trailer on the news a little bit, I think, but I did not watch the movie. And Cool Cat, yes, I definitely saw the Jetson video. It just looks like another video. I mean, we saw the one video from them already, so like we know it works, I guess. Like that's cool, but like also cool. I don't know. I'm not impressed easily, as you may know, but like yeah, we know it works. So I want to see more. Like they were going down a straight road in the woods. Yeah, I mean, I don't imagine it's super safe for Amdonka, but I think that thing can lose. I'm sure at least one prop, but I would imagine a couple. So I don't know how it's probably dangerous, but I don't know how dangerous it is. But I want to see, uh, yeah, a little something different. Right. Right back. I'm gonna get a drink refill, and I'm gonna. Oh, James Shoot, welcome. I'm gonna put a camera on the pup here, but I don't know how long he'll be there for. So it's anybody's guess. Be right back. Yes, he didn't stay long. Oh, surprise, surprise. Follows me around. All right. And yes, he did look for treats. You're right. That's why he left. Right. Well, what else is going on? What else is happening in the FPV world? Or with you people, in your world? There is no chase video with Henry. It's Henry land on the ground, scared of the thing that's flying above him. Pretty much. IDV, basically? Yeah. Mostly. Yeah, his dogs are like wild, dude. They do not stop. Nurk's dogs do not stop. Yeah, I don't think the treat will help. James Shoop today, I have Lucinda Williams. Robert Garcelon, well, it is Black Friday coming up, so this is probably the time to get deals. Basically, I think everywhere has some kind of sale going on. I really don't. Yeah, I don't know what the best deals are. I'm not really shopping this Black Friday, so there are a bunch of them all around. Like I said, basically, kind of hit up any store, kind of check around. Also, if you're a patron of JB, you can check in the JB Discord and the coupons channel. Actually, yeah, and the coupon codes channel. Bunch of different Black Friday deals there. Pyro drones giving extra points. Heli Direct's got discounts. Heli Nation's got discount. RDQ's got discount. All over the place. You can join JB's anytime you like. But all those coupon codes are just people posting like where the deals are and stuff. There's various folks. If you're not in that Discord, it's really worth $2. I will say that. I'm in there all day troubleshooting, as well as quite a few other folks here in the chat. IDV is in there. Cool Cat, I believe, is in there now. Who else is in there? Dave Pencilguin's in there. Lots of folks around the chat. Depends on what you're looking for from a Discord. If you're looking for a bunch of places with people who know what they're doing and can help you constantly and troubleshoot any problems you have, and you can get updates and information on new products and all that stuff, then it's worth going to. I would say too busy is a good thing, but I understand why. I definitely have it muted. I have every Discord muted, though. Only things I get are notifications when people tag me. E-Carbon Cage, how's it going? Good to see you. You can always tag @knowitall in the Bardwell Discord, and somebody can help you. If you haven't done that, that's definitely a good way to go. But yeah, there's a lot of people talking there. A lot of troubleshooting can go by, but just ask your question again. Hopefully somebody can help you. Also, a lot of times people ask stuff that just nobody can help with or nobody knows the answer to. So that's also a problem. I think a lot of people think I ignore them. Like I'll post and answer somebody else's question and then somebody else's question and somebody else's question. And their question will pop up a couple times. And it's like, I don't know the answer. So I'm not going to like reply and say, I can't help you because it's not only my job. You know, a bunch of people are there to help. But I think like people get frustrated because they're like, "Oh, this guy's not even paying attention." Like, well, like 30 people read your shit, but unfortunately nobody knows how to help. So I wish there was like a ticket system or something for that, but then that seems like a job, and then nobody wants to do that. So I don't know much a better way to handle it. Threads work all right, but threads are not great on Discord. I wish there was a way to just see every thread made. Okay, I wish I could toggle a thing and just go, show me all the threads, you know? Yeah, Neek, I barely ever fly. That's not like why I do this hobby at all. So I think a lot of people fly this hobby because they like to fly, but I don't do it because of that. It's fun, but like I could care less really. I find the like all the other parts of it are more interesting than the actual drone part of it. Like the technology and the electronics and the troubleshooting and all that stuff. Yeah, for me, it's more like I just like doing puzzles, and it's like a bunch of electronic puzzles, you know. And I like learning stuff, and there's plenty to learn in this hobby. I can use that info to help other people fly who want to fly. Neek, I would argue that doesn't mean you actually want to fly. Or at least you don't want to fly bad enough, right? Yeah, Carbon Cage Radio Master put out a big bulletin a while back, and then sent out new cables and stuff to people, and it was a whole thing. Wait, that was Jumper, right? Or was that the Radio Master? I don't remember. It's been so long. Modeler. Are there people flying simulator with their goggles? I'm sure there are, but I think most people fly with their monitor. At least most people I know fly with their monitor. IDV, I don't like freestyle. I like racing, so I fly Velocidrone as my main sim. Or if I want to go like mix it up a little bit, sometimes I'll fly DRL and like race the Racer 7 and try to work on times there. But typically those two. Like those are the ones that stay installed. I uninstall most of the other stuff eventually. Like I've ground all the times on DCL a little bit, but I don't know, it's not enough for me to like want to stick with a third sim or change to that sim. Dixon, you can go download Velocidrone again from the website if you somehow lost it. You can relicense it and everything. Cool cat. I'm not sure what you mean by that question. Because your latency will still be latency, so it'll be about or maybe you're just asking him specifically. To sim on DJI goggles, you would have to use a RCA to HDMI adapter, or somehow get AV out of a computer. But I think probably the way to do it would be HDMI to a HDMI AV adapter to the goggles. Hobby Howie, I had hard to get Crossfire with this chip shortage. Crossfire's always been hard to get. They just don't make a lot of it. I mean, maybe it's worse now, but I know it's always been like this. Where like you'll get a blast of like a couple weeks where everybody has stock, and then they just all sell out, and then months of no anything, no radios, no TXs, no RXs. Like you'll just see random ones, and then suddenly giant shipment, and everybody has them again. So that's what I would look out for. And then always, if you don't know, you always want to check out Heli Heli Nation. Because Heli Nation typically gets stuff first and almost always gets an order. Mike Chin is over there at Heli Nation, I believe, and also who also does support for TBS. Yeah, Dixon, but when I tried it, it was unplayable for me. It was terrible. Like I couldn't get the resolution right, and it was laggy, and it was horrible. So I didn't like it at all. Um, oh, Dixon, if you tried to put a link in the chat, uh, only mods can put links in the chat. She asked, "Is this a good deal?" But if that was a link, we cannot see it. So Urban Cage got a Synolog 35 HD. What is in that one? Is that the Polar Nano or is that the bigger one? That's the 20 that's got the Polar Nano, right? Oh no, that's a Neb Pro. Okay, great. Got a good camera. Yeah, like eDoc saying there's no like PUBG, has to do like hit registration. So like when you're shooting someone, their location matters, but in Velocitron it really doesn't. So they'll be in a different place than you a little bit, but it doesn't actually really matter for the game because the game's timing you locally. Yeah, there's interaction in like Velocitron combat. It's not really, it's not. I imagine you would tell lag or latency in combat. Missed the last the last 2 Mondays. Hopefully this Monday I will be streaming at 1 p.m. MST. Unfortunately, this last one I totally scheduled something not remembering, and me and Joshua did the roundup during that time. And then he streamed later, so I didn't want to step on that. So hopefully next Monday I'll be streaming at 1 p.m. MST, as expected, and then again Thursday at 1 p.m. MST. So Carbon Cage. That list is very long before I would even be close to being on a list like that. You're looking at 150 Legends of FPV, then maybe. But I think there's a couple people to go first. Neek, yes, that new Orca FPV control radio can only use Ghost. That is correct. The base radio has no internal module, it just does Bluetooth. And then the custom module bay fits a custom Ghost module, but also, even if you made a custom module for it, it only supports Ghost because it does not run OpenTX. It runs a custom TX software. There's no screens on any of the hardware. It'll all be accessible from a phone app, or presumably from the Orca goggles. I mean, that cannot be not the plan, right? It's got to be the plan. Welcome back, Blythe. IDV, I do not know. We recorded it 4 days ago, I think, or 5 days. Yeah, whatever Monday is. Yeah, 4 days ago. So, do not know. I think his editor got back 2 days ago. And I know that's what something his editor will do. So, Bobby O. Well, thanks, Carbon Cage. Appreciate you saying that. Like we got about 8-10 minutes left on the stream. Mads Tech's here. How's it going, Mads Tech? Mads Tech, how you feeling about? You got one of those new cameras? I didn't check your feed. I know they dropped them pretty quick this morning, but did you get one of the Cadex or RunCam cameras by chance? I am pretty excited that we finally have 120 FPS nano cameras. If you piss Cadex off too much, Mads here. Hey, Justin Rice, how's it going? Where is canvas mode indeed? Where is canvas mode indeed? A great video. Unfortunately, still no canvas mode. I really hope something happens with that. But Hobby Howie, I have to ask about the name. Is that like based on Hungry Howies? Or is that just like a coinky dink? Also, DJI or analog goggles, is it really worth it? It depends on how much you want to spend and how much you like want to do things that DJI is bad at. But in my opinion, it's absolutely worth it. DJI is like putting on a GoPro if you've flown analog. Everybody, like when I'll go to like the local races and stuff here, and people will be like, "Don't put those goggles on," because I'll show somebody else DJI, and like, "Don't put them on, because then you'll ruin yourself. You only want to fly DJI." It's like it's really good. Sharkbite's looking up though. That 1 watt VTX and the new cameras, I do think it is a good in between. And obviously it's static latency, so hopefully I'll get to the point where I'll want to buy it soon. But I just can't spend that much. Indeed, Madstech, that reface stuff is freaking creepy, isn't it? And they were all women. I don't know if anybody noticed that. Yes, I do agree with you, Madstech. The form factor will be an issue. That's just too big. 30 by 30, but a 40 by 40-ish outside is just going to be rough to fit. Like I think about my builds, and I'm like, I don't know where that would go on a lot of builds, man. I really don't know. Neek FPV, yeah, I'm hoping for Orca Digital, but unfortunately, they're just really being tight-lipped about it. I was really hoping for some kind of like announcement or leak or anything, and instead we got this FPV control thing. They definitely like lightly alluded to that it's definitely still happening, which we kind of knew, but other than that, nothing yet. So I've been poking them in the Discord a little bit, trying to figure out if I can get that drummed up. But yeah, Mads, I noticed that as well. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, Neek, if I don't know. I really hope that they have something good, but I'm just concerned with the time frame. It's taken them a really long time to get this HD thing rolling. And that's either because it's not working out well or because they're keeping it tight-lipped because they're working still with the government, which is also possible because they had a U.S. government contract for the military. But it wasn't a lot of money. It was like 50 grand or something. It was not a lot. So if there's another one or something else they're doing in private, then I think that then that's why we haven't seen anything, and they're probably waiting on a timeout thing or like another version of it to be made or whatever to happen. But unfortunately, I think that it's probably just not going that well, and they're waiting. So Madstech, they are based in Croatia, but they did get a U.S. government contract. They're also getting grants from Croatian government, or at least they're competing for them. I think they got one or two to help with chip fabrication over there or something. So they'll be able to get like locally sourced chips in that like region. I know so little about geography over there that I can't tell you who or where, but I know that I saw a news article report talking about them as one of the factors for like local chip production. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah, Madstech. I would assume that if TBS was going to make something, TBS would make an HD0 thing, but maybe that's not true. But I don't know. It just seems so expensive to make HD. Like, does TBS have that much money? Like they do good business, but I don't see TBS being like that many millions. So it seems to me more that they would be like designing based on a chipset. But I will say also, the way Trappy looked at some of those VTXs in those videos, he did not seem like he was familiar with the layout. Seemed like he was maybe a little bit, but like he had not spent that much time looking at it. Yeah, now if they did like a some kind of fundraise, yeah, but how does their company work? Like I think Trappy owns it, right? They don't have like shareholders. So then would he have to like I guess it would all be private, so we wouldn't know anything about it, right? It would just be like private investment. Yeah, I don't know. And they're based in Hong Kong, and I know that's been weird on and off lately. So I don't know. I would love for TBS to make something though. But if TBS makes it, it'll be like 2 months before the firmware works for it after it's released, right? Callie 999, thank you so much for your donation. Just tune back in, but we'll play it back later to catch all I missed. Awesome. Hopefully it's entertaining. Uh, it's hard to know if you're entertaining, right? Yeah, Mad Sick. That makes sense. I'm on the same page there for sure. Like the way he was looking at it, he hasn't paid any attention. And the way he was looking at it, he won't pay much attention to it. But hey, maybe that'll change. Justin Rice says, is there a trick or setting to lessen the chance of blowing your 5-volt regulator and losing a complete FC? A couple things with that. So one is typically you can replace a 5-volt regulator, or sometimes you can even feed 5-volt into the 5-volt rail, and that'll work. The other way you can do it is if it's finicky and doesn't play nice. One way I have done it before is feed 5-volt into the USB. However, it's only going to power things that are powered on USB on your 5-volt, right? But your battery will power the rest of the stuff that's not on 5-volt. So it depends on how you do it and if those pads are active. Um, but the other thing is you just have low load on that 5-volt regulator. So like if you're powering your VTX and your cam and maybe like a whatever else, maybe a buzzer or something, then that would be why you might be concerned. Uh, and you might want to like remove one or two of those things and not run them off 5-volt. Instead, run them off VBAT or something else. I mean, most 5-volt regulators should not blow from a cam and a VTX, but it does depend on like how much power they're all drawing and what you've got going on and what the regulator's rated. So, peak FPV, yeah, battery technology I think is all about yeah, like it's out of our hobby, right? That's more about what comes out of the whole world's battery production, and then we get to adopt. And it seems like over and over again, lipos are really good. Like that's a good way to deliver high discharge because a lot of the new solutions are like low discharge options, or like high discharge but they're low wattage. So you get a bunch of discharge, but you don't, there's nothing to work with there. So well, you got to get lithium ion and you got to get the right build, and then you can cruise for 20 minutes. I don't know about ripping though, but yeah, I mean that would be cool. It's only going to get easier as time goes on, but hopefully there's some big improvements in batteries soon enough. There's all you always hear about like, oh, there's a new battery and it does XYZ, and then it never like comes out or does anything. So hopefully. All right. Well, I've been streaming for about a little over 2 hours now. So normally we go about 2 hours. So I think we're going to wrap it up. I just want to say I appreciate the donations in the chat today. If you want to help out, you can always donate. Patreon or it's blunty.live for direct donations, or is bluntyfpv at gmail.com for PayPal or anything like that, wherever you want to help out, or YouTube, obviously, super chats or super stickers. Thanks everybody for being here. As always, like it's Thanksgiving, you still had 30 people here. I do appreciate you all being here throughout the stream. Yeah, so if you don't mind, go down and like this video so people later will see it in the algorithm, right? And they'll recommend my videos more because you guys are like, hey, I like this. If you haven't subscribed, that's always cool. I'm sure some percentage of you people are not subscribed, but it would be neat if you could subscribe, if you don't mind. And then go comment down here if you don't mind. Like after this video is over, a comment on this will help other people see it as well. And then I'll give it a heart and I'll respond if I like it. So, yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I do appreciate it. CH3 DQ, DQ's here. Yeah, everybody's here. So thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy. And we'll see you next Monday at 1 p.m. MST. I'm going to make it a point to be there for that stream. So thanks a lot.